Welcome to Omaha. I'm Vahe Gregorian. On my left is Rustin Dodd, who covers Kansas for the Kansas City Star. And on my right is Suellentrop, who covers Wichita State for our sister paper, the Wichita Eagle. And we've got a bit of a game here tomorrow that we're looking forward to. We've just finished some press conferences today with everybody. And but really it takes me to this point of how we think this is playing in each of the towns where the teams come from. And why don't we start with you, Paul, and what's this mean in Wichita?
Yeah, it's almost hard to describe. It will be the biggest game that Wichita State's played in many, many years, even taking into consideration the Final Four and all those kind of things. A lot of Kansas fans in Wichita, a lot of Wichita State fans in Wichita, and Wichita State fans have always wanted to play this game for many, many years.
In Rustin, there is a little bit of a sentiment that this is a more important game to Wichita in the big picture in general if they were to play in the regular season, but obviously it's a game to get to the Sweet 16. And is it just that to Kansas?
I think it's more than that, but I think feelings are probably a little more complicated in terms of what the emotions are for a Kansas fan going into this game. And obviously it's a game you don't want to lose, and maybe that's the best way to put it. But I think it's a game I think that if Kansas fans were being honest, they'd like to see too. It's a game that's for the last few years, as Wichita State's been playing so well, you've wondered how these two teams would match up, and tomorrow at least you're going to see.
And along those lines, Bill Self during this press conference, I think he couldn't help himself and said that this really isn't just another game, and some games are big, but this is bigger in a certain way. But in the end, he said, Wichita State's basically just in our way. So as we look at the game itself, Paul, what do you see as the key points for the Shockers to try to be able to win?
Well, I think when we talk about Wichita State, you kind of start off knowing or feeling pretty good that they're going to get a good effort from Fred VanVleet. They know what they're going to get most times from Ron Baker. Takeo Cotton's going to be a pretty solid defensive guy. So it kind of comes down to Darius Carter and Shaq Morris. Can they stay out of foul trouble? Can they give them some productive minutes? Can Cotton make a few three-pointers? Can Evan Wessel be an offensive threat? Those are the kind of things that kind of maybe are swing votes for them.
And Wichita State, I think, in a certain way, has formed an identity this season and in the last few years, and I think you'll see them, the Shockers, as a fundamentally sound team and pretty gritty, as you could see yesterday with guys having teeth banged around and Ron Baker having to stagger against the wall to get to the locker room. Kansas, on the other hand, played really well, I think, on Friday, but Bill Self would even say this is a team that's struggling all season to find an identity, and if they have one, it's find a way. Is that still in play, Rustin, even as well as they played yesterday?
Yeah, they made shots yesterday, which was the biggest thing, and I think, it's obvious, any game, if you make shots, you look really good. But if they make shots tomorrow, I think they'll have a pretty good chance. They've made teams look bad for the last month, but they've been pretty bad themselves on the offensive end, so it's kind of evened out. But heading into tomorrow, and the interesting thing about this game for Kansas is that all year, the big guys, although Perry Ellis was so good, but, the big guys inside was kind of their weak link at times, and I think they can actually have an advantage tomorrow on the boards and do some stuff to hurt Wichita State there. Well,
it's going to be a great matchup, and I hope the game matches the hype that everybody else is falsely doing, but we're doing correctly. And thanks for being with us, and we'll look forward to the game tomorrow.